I am Azrael, Knight to the Order of Saint-Dumas.
The Order has lied.
There have been hundreds and hundreds of anti-heroes, right? But probably the original proponent of the trope is Jean-Paul Valley, better known to the world as Azrael. This vigilante has lived in the shadows of Gotham City, engaging in both conflict and camaraderie with the Dark Knight himself. Azrael's journey is one with many ups and downs, one that saw him temporarily don the cowl of Batman when Bane incapacitated the original Caped Crusader. However, fate had other plans, forcibly returning him to his identity as Azrael, the avenging angel. The moniker Azrael, derived from the Angel of Death, holds some serious significance in Jean-Paul's life. Furthermore, most of his extraordinary abilities stem from the deep-rooted subconscious training and conditioning he underwent during his formative years. Little did he know that his life had been intricately manipulated by an ancient religious sect known as the Order of Saint-Dumas, to which his ancestors had pledged allegiance for generations. In this video, we will dive deep into the depths of Azrael's persona and anatomy and learn just what makes him the perfect angel of the bat as well as a great vigilante in his own right. Let's begin, shall we? Before we go into our explanation, we do have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin. Who is Azrael? Azrael, aka Jean-Paul Valley's tale, is one of some serious genetic manipulation and destiny. He was a test tube baby whose genes were intertwined with animal DNA, forging him into a superhuman. Oblivious to his true purpose, he pursued a mundane life as a programming or software engineering student at Gotham University. However, fate takes an unexpected turn when his mortally wounded father, the former Azrael, reveals the family's legacy. His father came to him in a dire state and told Azrael about his true identity, and the dying man told Azrael things about his true identity in a bid to keep him away from taking on the mantle of Azrael, but the old man's intention were misread by his son. Armed with meager resources and cryptic advice, Jean-Paul embarked on a journey to Switzerland, where he met the mysterious organization called the Order of Saint-Dumas. Under the guidance of the master geneticist and servant of the order named Nomos, he learns about the profound responsibilities and greater role that come with the title and mantle of Azrael. To his surprise, he discovered latent combat skills already embedded within him, courtesy of an enigmatic process called the System. So even though Azrael did not have any prior training, he was skilled at various forms of martial arts and could do things that were impossible for a regular human. You know how they say you don't teach a baby fish how to swim? As he dons the Azrael costume for the first time, he has his first fateful encounter with Batman and Alfred. But the event became messier because of a riot that was caused due to the death of Azrael's father. Initially at odds, Azrael is compelled to rescue Bruce Wayne from a menacing villain called Beast, aka Liha, who was also responsible for the death of the previous Azrael. This event prompts a pivotal decision in Azrael's life as he turns away from the Order's ruthless ways, embracing Batman's rather compassionate approach to justice. I mean, you know how his no guns thing goes.
You gotta be kidding me.
No guns, no killing.
Where's the fun?
With secrets revealed and allegiances forged, Azrael returns to Gotham, now part of the Batman family, or at least starts working with them. Azrael has hybrid personality of human and animal since birth. In the comic issue titled Azrael on the Run Part 1 Breakout, Jean-Paul's quest for knowledge leads him to Mobari. In fact, Batman had funded him to find out more about his past and origin. However, his search goes south as he becomes the unsuspecting target of Ra's al Ghul, who suspects him of being a threat to his operations in the Middle East. Despite initial hostility, Ra's offers Jean-Paul food and shelter and also provides Azrael with a significant lead on the birthplace of Azrael. In the heart of the Middle Eastern desert, Jean-Paul reaches an underground laboratory where he uncovers the shocking truth that he is a cloned hybrid, a unique blend of human and multiple animal genes. The revelation about his mother's tragic fate adds to his turmoil. She was kept as a breeding beast to give birth to children like Azrael and was ultimately killed by the Order. This was too much for Azrael to take, and the weight of this knowledge activated a disturbing failsafe within the system that drove him temporarily insane. In a frenzy of anger, he demolished the entire facility. His accomplices, Brian and Lily, Valley, intervened and brought Jean-Paul to Ras Al Ghul in an attempt to mend his shattered psyche. However, before any progress can be made, Azrael escapes by hijacking a jeep. So Jean-Paul was snatched from his mother at birth, raised in a tube, and subjected to torturous experiments where animal DNA was spliced with his genes. These agonizing experiences were designed to mold him into the wrathful persona of Azrael. Is he really the Angel of Death? Azrael's name is steeped in religious significance and draws inspiration from the Angel of Death, and this connection is reflected in both his costume and the overarching theme of his character. As the Angel of Death, Azrael's mission is to mete out justice. But that's not it. He somewhat has a split personality, which was actually carefully engineered by the Sacred Order of Saint Dumas. Jean-Paul Valley, in his normal persona, appears mild-mannered and unremarkable, but when donning the Azrael costume, a striking transformation occurs. He becomes a ferocious and vengeful being, convinced that he embodies the very essence of a biblical avenging angel. Initially, Azrael's superhuman abilities were only accessible in his alter ego, but as his story progresses, he gains mastery over both personas, learning to tap into Azrael's powers even when acting as Jean-Paul. Unlike other members of the Bat family who assumed their respective roles later in life because of chance and fate, Jean-Paul was destined to become Azrael from his birth. Hailing from a long line of men who had donned the cowl and cape, Azrael gave meaning to his mantle. Now, I have already mentioned that his heritage traces back to his origins as a test tube baby, meticulously engineered to be the epitome of perfection. Some believe that the DNA of the Angel of Death seems to be encoded into his very DNA. What's up with his inbuilt system? The system lies at the heart of Azrael's complex character development and physical abilities that help him fight crime. Having said that, this intricate mental programming or conditioning, of which the full extent remains shrouded in mystery, has been both a boon and a burden to Jean-Paul Valley. Initially thrust into the role of Azrael, Jean-Paul was enlisted by Batman to be a new vigilante. The system, a result of his upbringing and modifications, endowed Azrael with exceptional combat skills, elevating him to a level above average human capabilities. While not quite matching Batman's mastery, Azrael's fighting prowess remains impressive, making him a formidable foe in the ongoing battle against crime. Yet, the system's influence wasn't without its challenges. Jean-Paul grappled with bouts of violent tendencies and inner turmoil. His alter ego, Azrael, often exhibited a relentless pursuit of justice, bordering on the line of vengeance and violent, uncontrollable obsession. This internal struggle brought him face to face with his own demons, manifesting as hallucinations of his father and Saint Dumas himself. The system also granted Azrael certain mental advantages. Jean-Paul became multilingual, able to understand and communicate in various foreign languages, a skill that proved invaluable in the global landscape of crime. Furthermore, his aptitude for mechanical engineering also soared, enabling him to design and create intricate gadgets, including his own unique bat suit. In his mission to protect Gotham, Azrael's path intersected with Batman's adversaries like Scarecrow and Bane, and because of the knowledge and power of the system, he confronted and subdued these formidable foes. However, the system's hold on Azrael also led to moments of instability, resulting in a series of intense challenges. His mental struggles added a layer of complexity to his character as he fought to maintain control over both his mild-mannered persona and the vengeful spirit of Azrael. I believe the worst impact that the system had on Azrael was that it would completely take over his mind. In these unstable spells, Azrael would forget who he was and would become a force of destruction. Initially, he would tap into these powers only in his alter ego, but eventually he managed to control the system and the powers that came with it. His brain is unstable at times. The lingering effects of the brainwashing caused by the system have left a lasting mark on Jean-Paul Valley's psyche. Whenever he dons the Azrael suit of armor, he becomes dangerously violent, an uncontrollable force driven by the conditioning he underwent. And yet, Jean-Paul's mental state is not without its share of challenges. He frequently experiences disturbing hallucinations, clouding his rational thinking and pushing him towards irrational beliefs. In one incident, he fell prey to a delusion that he was the true Batman, a dangerous misconception that required the intervention of Bruce Wayne to snap him back to reality, urging him to remove the Azrael armor. Even in his quest to embrace goodness, he had to battle against the deeply ingrained teachings of the system. Nevertheless, he displayed resilience in rejecting many of its most harmful aspects, demonstrating a glimmer of hope for his potential redemption, and he did manage to keep a check on these unstable tendencies. Despite being ensnared by the system's brainwashing, in the end, Azrael defied the odds and managed to break free from the cycle of violence. With Batman's guidance, he shifted his focus to the pursuit of justice, which wasn't as righteous as Captain America or Superman's, but it was far less violent than before. He can control the emotions of anyone. Azrael possesses an ability known as empathy, which he likes to call the wrath of God. Pretentious much? I think so. Anyway, because of this power, Jean-Paul can exert control over the emotions of others, leaving them vulnerable to his telepathic influence. Through a touch, Azrael can upload what is called the Ichthys algorithm directly into a person's mind, triggering visions and incapacitating them. This grants him access to the deepest recesses of a person's emotional landscape, allowing him to manipulate their feelings and perceptions. From stealing emotions from others to distinguishing truth from lies, Azrael can use a vast range of emotional manipulation techniques on his victims. Does he have any love interests? Can he reproduce? Despite his relentless pursuit of justice as Azrael and success as a formidable vigilante and hero, the Avenging Angel has faced a series of heartbreaks and disappointments as far as romance is concerned. In a world where superheroes often find love, Azrael stands apart, with each of his love interests either rejecting him or turning out to be adversaries. One of the early infatuations emerged during his time as Batman, when he met a colleague student named Cindy Brooks. She was all he could have been, and her life was all that could have been his had he not become Azrael. Drawn to her by a desire for a life he could never have, Jean-Paul's feelings grew as he protected her from dangerous criminals dressed as movie horror icons. Later, Joker targeted Miss Brooks, and Azrael was determined to protect her from the insane clown. So he followed Cindy to a film studio, only to find that Cindy was merely a pawn in the Joker's twisted scheme of making a movie about Batman's death. This crushed any hope of a relationship with Brooks, but Azrael did beat Joker to a pulp. During Azrael's time with the Batman family, he developed a flirtatious rapport with Barbara Gordon, developing a unique connection that, unfortunately, never evolved beyond casual banter. The two shared a brief dinner but decided against pursuing a romance. This was because Barbara still held feelings for Nightwing, and Azrael viewed her more as a sisterly figure. Perhaps the most profound romantic involvement for Azrael was his complex relationship with Sister Lily, a rogue member of the Order of Saint Dumas. Initially drawn together through shared experiences within the Order, they developed genuine feelings for each other, but their social difficulties and diverging paths hindered any possibility of a lasting connection. Despite a heartfelt attempt at reconciliation, their romance met a tragic end, with Lily's actions leading her to confinement at Arkham Asylum. What did she do? Well, she wanted to revive the Order of Saint Dumas. In fact, she even sent someone to assassinate Azrael. Despite facing multiple heartbreaks, Azrael found solace in the unwavering support of friends like Cassandra Cain, Batwing, and Brian, who remained steadfast allies throughout his tumultuous journey. Is he immortal? Azrael's most formidable adversary was Liha, who proved to be the embodiment of everything he and the Order of Saint Dumas opposed. Their fierce battle led to a tragic demise as Azrael and Liha plummeted from a great height. Despite the anticipation of a classic comic book resurrection, Azrael's death was confirmed, leaving fans stunned. Though his body was never recovered, speculation circulated that Jean-Paul Valley might still be alive. However, the DC Universe underwent a complete reboot with Flashpoint, ushering in the era of the New 52 and granting a renewed lease of life for various characters including Jean-Paul. Azrael emerged once more, this time as a knight within the Order of Saint Dumas, albeit with many elements of his past history altered by the continuity changes. Despite his return, Azrael's fate took another tragic turn in a later encounter with his two other arch-enemies. Beast and Scratch, in an intense showdown, he faced a similar fate as his original incarnation, as he fell victim to a barrage of lethal Teflon-coated bullets plunging from a balcony alongside Liha, aka Bis. Although Liha survived and Scratch was apprehended, Azrael passed away, but that was far from his end. Azrael became a Black Lantern after death. In a startling twist of fate, Jean-Paul Valley is resurrected as a member of the Black Lantern Corps, wielding a power ring that grants him immensely malevolent abilities. Embracing the darkness within, Azrael embarks on a grisly rampage that only gets more pronounced because of his vengeful and embittered demeanor. In this form, Azrael is driven by a deep-seated belief that the world is undeserving of a savior, especially someone who sacrifices so much to protect the flawed world of misguided humans. With a twisted sense of righteousness, he declares that the world doesn't merit a hero like Azrael. He then sets his sights on Scarecrow, intending to kill the crazy scientist. However, Scarecrow's inherent inability to feel fear renders him almost invisible to the Black Lantern's powers. Marvelous verdicts. So, Azrael's powers were fueled by the system. It granted him unparalleled combat prowess, turning him into a force to be reckoned with. His training was instilled unknowingly, molding him into an instrument of justice and vengeance. However, the path he treaded was laced with moral complexities as he grappled with the duality of his past and present self, oscillating between the benevolent Jean-Paul Valley and the relentless Azrael. Last year, he was reintroduced in his most violent form by DC Comics in a 6-issue limited series called Sword of Azrael. Would you like us to explore the comic? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks everyone.